I tells you it's always difficult with these sort of games to not give too much away, not give all the puzzling away, and just basically give you a good idea of what the actual game's about. So that's exactly what I'm going to try. So like and subscribe and let's get into it, shall we? Infinite Inside is basically a puzzle game with a story tagged along. I was playing on my MetaQuest 3, which means that I got to experience this game in mixed reality, which was really impressive, and this kind of shone from the beginning. As soon as the plinth type thing came up and it was in front of you, you can interact and everything, and as usual with these sort of games where you get to interact in your own environment, it was kind of like interesting to move around, knowing that you're not going to bump into anything, but actually walking around the things. To say that was an extra level of immersion is an understatement. Being able to walk around this plinth in real time, essentially opening little drawers and doors and things like that, picking up objects and basically putting puzzles together, and all this within your own environment. And believe me, I love my mixed reality, and it all kind of like makes me feel sorry for anyone that's got a headset that doesn't do mixed reality, because you'll lose this level of whatever you want to call it. But I probably enjoyed the fact that I can interact within this whole world without knowing that I'm going to bump into something in this part of the game. So essentially, you get a plinth, as I've said, that comes out and you interact with it. And then you kind of like go into the plinth by using a kind of statue of yourself. You place it down, you go in, and you're basically moving around trying to look for extra pieces. When you find the extra pieces, you put them onto your wrist. It goes into the real world, and I am air quoting as I speak. And there's always a set number of these puzzle parts or pieces that you have to find, and a quick check on your watch gives you the remaining amount that you have to find. But as soon as you go into the plinth, or whatever you want to call it, it all changes. Okay, so outside you're in MR on the MetaQuest 3, but when you're inside the structure, it all changes. You're then in its world, you're surrounded by the VR, if you like. You're no longer in your own environment. And I thought this was quite cool to start with, until I realised how you travel around. Now, I'm one of these terribly annoying people that like to walk around, whether it's using the actual controllers or walking around my own environment. So it wasn't a problem that I may have to use the controller, it was more the fact that everything once you're inside is using this like teleport thing where you have to reach your hand out and kind of like Jedi the shit out of these balls to come over to you, and then you teleport to where the ball was. It wasn't absolutely terrible, but the problem was when you got teleported, it turns out that you're teleported in the direction I think that you're going in. So if there's a wall in front of you, then there's a wall in front of you when you teleport, which means that you then have to physically move or turn so that you can reach out to the other ball to get around. This isn't a problem if you have loads of space, but it is if you don't have loads of space. And sometimes I would either move by mistake or reach out and punch a wall or something, or clip a wall. To me personally, this kind of felt like a backward step, like we were going back in time rather than forward with the technology. I know a lot of people don't find this as a problem, but trust me, when you're actually lost in one of these like areas and you're trying to get around and you've got one piece and you're having a bit of difficulty finding it, and you have to keep doing this over and over again, you're going, oh bloody hell, it does get rather annoying after a while. And the fact that when you found them you can't just transport all the way back to reality, whoops, there goes gravity, you have to basically find one of those statues and then teleport back to reality. And I felt this kind of ruined or at least hurt the pacing of the game. I did feel that the way the story was told was quite decent. It kind of like told you it as you went on and kind of like drip fed it to you within these areas. And this included with the kind of tutorial type sections where it would like show you how to do something and then you kind of like repeated what they showed you. That was pretty cool as well. The puzzles I found were not too difficult, but also weren't later on too easy. You're basically making up shapes of things and then inserting them into certain places in order to progress. Taking a look at how it sounded and how it looked, it did look really nice. I have to admit, when that blimp, whatever you want to call it, comes out of the ground is pretty spectacular, at least for the first few times. And when you're moving around it, especially in MR, it really does blow my mind, the fact that you can interact with it and everything. It just really looks spot on. And also, again, when you're inside it, it has some nice features later on. It kind of like pulls a few nice little tricks, and it does look quite good, but it's all kind of like in that static type of way as a whole. But overall, I did like the visuals. Nothing really happens the further in you go drastically different, but it's enough to think, yeah, this does actually look quite decent. Music and sound, again, pretty decent, not exactly breaking any boundaries. The music is kind of like there, and I'm not really a listening to music type person, but it was okay. The sounds are all there again. They weren't, as I said, anything that breaks any boundaries. You've heard things like this before. It's nothing to make you go wow. My exercise rating would be, I don't know, again, it's not really doing much. You are walking around it, there isn't much exercise. It's a pretty relaxed, chilled game, and I like that. So probably the exercise rating is a 3. You're not going to really be coming into this in order to get a good workout. And go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, because it would be a really nice thing to do. Thank you. Anywho, let's get on to the score, shall we? Right, so the score is going to be a 6 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't to the extent that I was like, I must go and play this all the time. You'll probably get about 4 hours worth of gameplay out of this, and there is room to basically make another game. I believe for myself, if they didn't have that teleporting part to it, then I would probably have enjoyed it a bit more. In fact, if they do make a second one or a sequel or whatever to it, then hopefully they will have proper locomotive motion in it.